Tyler Reddick here from 2311 Racing. Another checkered flag for the books. Time to celebrate with Chumba. Jump in at ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See T&Cs. 21 plus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
When you manage procurement for multiple facilities, every order matters. But when it's for a hospital system, they matter even more. Grainger gets it and knows there's no time for managing multiple suppliers and no room for shipping delays. That's why Grainger offers millions of products in fast, dependable delivery, so you can keep your facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
I'm a nobody from nowhere that ain't never done nothing. That's what I am. An old head. These young coaches, I tell you what, I can't figure these jokers out. They got a backpack on and tight something. I don't know what they're doing. They're getting on my nerves, I can tell you that. I know what ain't in the backpack. A string and a let me paint that line for you. That ain't in there. That's for sure. I had a kid the other day. He said, "Hey, Coach, didn't Christopher Columbus write the Pledge of Allegiance?" I said, "He sure did. He also played quarterback for the 1985 Chicago Bears." He said, "Bet." That happened. Sun Coaches, Season 6, where coaches come and tell their stories. Some of them are funny. Some of them is going to help you in your coaching journey. Not everybody has a funny story, but everybody has a story. Hope you enjoy Sun Coaches, brought to you by Titan Sensor. Sun Coaches is proud to partner with Titan Sensor for Season 6 and 7. Titan is made in the USA, proudly founded and based in Texas. When you connect with Titan, you are not alone. You can collaborate and share templates with other coaches across the country to build reports and foster competition. Used by programs such as State 6A Georgia State champion Grayson High School, Titan can tailor a package to fit your needs. The eye in the sky never lies. Improve your team's performance with Titan. Welcome to Sun Coaches Podcast, and today we're joined by the head coach at Cardinal Gibbons High School, Coach Matt Dubuc. Thanks for being on with us.
Appreciate you having me on.
Well, Coach, I've done a little bit of research, and I know that you actually grew up there and went to school at Cardinal Gibbons, didn't you?
I did, and I graduated in '92, which I guess makes me an older guy now. But yeah, I did. And whenever you're back at home, the games mean a little bit more than if you're a hired gun. And I never looked at it that way. So it's always been, just defending my turf.
So when you were coming up, kids these days specialize. I know you played football. Did you play anything else, or were you just a one sport guy?
No, I played baseball as well. I was all-state baseball player. I was probably, I wouldn't say better at baseball, but being a 5'8", 165-pound guy, baseball was probably what most people thought I should play. But most people said, you're not big enough, and that was kind of my fuel to my fire to get recruited as a Division I player. And then eventually, it's funny, is at Texas Tech my third year, I walked on the baseball team and I made it. and I played a whole season, and the next fall after our football season ended, and I don't think our football coaches thought I would make it, and they said, "Well, we're paying the bills, so we need you in spring football," and that's kind of what ended my baseball career.
Yeah, I tell people, because I graduated in '92 as well, and people go like, "You played baseball?" And I'm like, "Well, back then, you could be a normal-sized human, and if you had a skill set, you could still play the game, where now you kind of have to look, the game has evolved, and you have to be a monster. You have to look like a football player to actually be considered an elite baseball player these days, it seems like. But back when you and I played, you could still be a regular sized guy and play.
Yeah, I was a left-handed bat, and I could get down the line really good. And at Texas Tech, we had turf, so it was the old school turf. So I mean, you were even faster on that. So my speed probably helped me, make it. And yeah, it was a great year. I was, the 1 year and a half I played, it was really fun, and got to play you know, at Texas, at Oklahoma, Arizona, see some of these ballparks that you kind of think about and see on TV, but to actually playing them was pretty neat. So sports have been a pretty big part of my life and given me a lot of ability to see, as a Florida kid, to kind of see the Midwestern part of the United States and kind of take that in. And I was on the phone with my roommate earlier from Texas Tech. He's a big time banker, and the relationships you just make through sports, and I hope that's still the part of the game that we don't lose, as we're losing kind of everything else. But you and I grew up loving the rivalries and the travel, and you could you didn't have to get on an airplane to go to a game. You get in a car and go. But obviously that's changing, as the money is changing.
So you said off air that your junior year in '91, y'all played for the state championship at Cardinal Gibbons in football.
Yeah, we played against Live Oak Swanee, which had won 3 in a row at that time, and they beat us in Daytona pretty good. And from there, my senior year, we had graduated a lot of guys, and it's hard. Listen, here's the biggest thing, and I give kudos to the coaches out there, that it's hard to keep this thing going, man. Like, administrators think you're just gonna blink and you're gonna win 10 games. Nobody understands, the off seasons, and now with the recruiting that's going on, and now there's NIL. I mean, it's this profession we're in is changed in such a short period of time for everybody. But yeah, we played in the state championship game, and it was my dream, if I was ever a coach, to get back and win one at our place, and we've won 3.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. There can't be anything like that or much like it. We've got a few guys in Georgia that they played for one or won one as a player, won one as an assistant, and then won one as a head coach. And I couldn't imagine how awesome that accomplishment is, much less, coming up a little short as a player and then later on coming back to your alma mater and then winning 3 as the head coach is pretty cool. And we'll get to that eventually. So you leave high school and you get to go play football at Texas Tech.
I did, and I did not sign in February. I ended up signing in March, so I was late. They had a scholarship open late, and a coach named Doyle Parker called me and said, "Hey, you were recommended by Dennis Erickson to Spike Dykes, at the time was our head coach." And I said, "Well, if you have a scholarship, I'm interested." And he goes, "We do. We'll get you a flight." And took a trip, and I went out there, and didn't necessarily think it was the best place in the world when I got there, but you make sacrifices if your passion is your passion. And later on, it's very similar to my other son. I have 2 sons. One's going to be a redshirt sophomore at University of New Mexico, and the other one's going to be a freshman at Wagner in the fall. And sometimes you got to get out of your comfort zone and question. It really questions how much you really love the game. And so I was very fortunate. I redshirted, played 4 years. I was kind of like an in and out 4th receiver, punt returner, kick returner, and went to 4 bowl games and made great friends and got a degree. And I love Texas Tech. It's a lot different now than it was when I played. And the money they poured into that place is pretty crazy. But the facility to me in 1992 was pretty awesome. And I actually played in the first Big 12 game ever. played against Kansas State in the Big 12. So that's one of the things that I like to tell people all the time. And just football, I haven't missed a season since I was 14 years old. So I just turned 51. So um, football's been a pretty big part of my life.
Well, and after Texas Tech, you got a chance to play in Canadian Football League. Is that correct?
I did. I played 4 years, one in Toronto, won the Grey Cup. We had Doug Flutie was our quarterback. Andre Ware was our backup. Casey Weldon was the third quarterback. For some of the old heads that are listening, they'll know those names. And won the cup there, got a ring, and then got traded to Winnipeg where I played 3, and then got turf toe pretty bad, and that pretty much ended my career.
Yeah, for somebody that's speed dependent, I imagine that kind of made it a little hard for you to be as fast as you were.
Yeah, the change of direction, the stop and start, that was pretty much my game. And when I couldn't do that effectively anymore, you got to be honest with yourself, and that was it. And then I was 28 years old, and I was like, all right, well, what do I do now? And got
But
a
you knew
job
you
at
wanted to
West.
be a coach.
I did, and probably my last year in Winnipeg, I started kind of really thinking about it, and I said to one of my receivers coach, and I said I want to coach. He goes, don't do it. And I said why, and like every person that thinks they're smarter than the next, I got a job at West Texas A&M, and I coached 2 years there, and then we got fired there. The staff got let go, and got picked up at Gibbons, and I've been there ever since.
So when you got back to Gibbons, was the head coach there the same guy you played for?
He was the assistant head coach, and we had always had a really good relationship and talked through the years. And I would go back when I was coaching or playing in Canada. I'd go back in the spring because we didn't report until the mid part of May. So I would help him out for 2 weeks every year. So that was kind of like the beginning. And then I was an assistant for 14 years. Started from receivers coach, running backs, then quarterbacks, then offensive coordinator, then assistant head coach, and then I guess in 16 is when I took over as the head coach. And so this will be my 10th year coming up. So we're 90 and 23 with 3 state championships. So that's pretty proud of that.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So let me see if I have this straight, because the way people think these days, it's a little counterintuitive to the way your career started. You're an alumni. You go play Division I college football, then you go play professional football. But when you come back, you had to start as a position coach and work your way up. You mean they didn't just automatically make you a coordinator? That's insane.
No, and what's the funny part of it is the head coach that I worked for is our athletic director, and now he's the athletic director. Great guy, and we have a good relationship. But I sat next to him on the bus for 14 years, and got to sit there and watch him and see the good things about what he was really good at, and some of the things that I thought we could be better at. And and he I wouldn't say he gave me, like, I wouldn't say he trained me, but he definitely guided me. I think that the training part of it came from me going to. I got to know Mike Leach when I was coaching at West Texas A&M and Lincoln Riley and those guys, and I think that is really what fueled my fire. Because we run the air raid offense. We threw the ball in Canada, and I think the air raid is still a passion of mine. I still call the plays. I'm still the offensive coordinator. But I can sit here and talk with anybody about the air raid and feel like, hey, I've got a pretty dadgum good handle on it. I've spoken at the Nike clinic, at the Glacier clinic, and I feel good about knowing that offense and enjoy it. When you like something, it's easy. It's when you don't like it, it's hard. And the offensive side of the ball really keeps me keeps me going, keeps me fired up. Um, Being a head coach isn't necessarily what it's all cracked up to be. Some people might think it might be when you first get started an egotistical thing, but you find out real quick. It can be some of the best times, but it can be some of the loneliest times. Whether it's in school, or kid makes a mistake, or recruiting, or you can't trying to help a kid go somewhere and you can't get him in there, and he's an inch too short, and a little bit too slow for what those guys want, and guess who gets the blame when it doesn't happen? The head coach.
Right. No, I was just making that comment because there's so many young coaches now that they come out with the same resume you had, and they think that they're automatically going to be a coordinator. They're automatically going to be, a head coach or whatever, and don't realize that you still have to work your way up. You still have to, there's still stuff about the high school game that you have to learn, and you still have to chew a little dirt before you get to sit in the big chair.
Well, like I tell all the guys, the young guys that I hire, beat me to the office and don't leave until I leave. And we're not in there 15 hours a day, but pick up a cooler, make sure everybody's on the bus, like overanalyze it and do the little things. And those little things eventually become big things, and they become part of who you are, and the details. And I tell my own two sons that all the time. I go, you guys are really talented, but the details, those little things matter. You might not see it right now, but they matter. And I think that bodes well with coaching too. These guys, everybody's caught up with, their story or their.
Tyler Reddick here from 2311 Racing. Another checkered flag for the books. Time to celebrate with Chumba. Jump in at ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. CT&Cs. 21 plus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
Post, or nobody wants to eat dirt, like you said. Everybody just entitled to something, and that's not the way I was brought up. Nor do I condone or want to be around people that think that they're entitled to something that they haven't worked for.
Well, you definitely worked for it, and that first state championship, winning that, let's talk about that first one, because I imagine that was extremely special. I mean, I've had a lot of guys on that have won multiple state championships, and every one of them's different because every team's different. But that first one, I imagine I bet that was something very special to you.
Yeah, there's two ways of looking at it. I was in chase mode for so long, and we came in at halftime. We were playing North Marion. We had scored late in the end of the first half, and walked in at halftime, and actually played in that stadium. We played in the in Orlando, in the it was called the Citrus Bowl at that time. Now it's called Camping World. But I came in at halftime. We had all the momentum. We had knocked the quarterback out. And I said, we're going to win this game. Like, this is something you've chased since you were 15 years old, 14 years old. And we won it. And, of course, half of everybody stays and celebrates their family, my own family. And I did what I always do. I got on the bus when the game was over, and we went to a hotel, and we had a little celebration, and we were back in Fort Lauderdale by 3 a.m, and you get a lot of calls and a lot of texts, but the biggest challenge is you've reached your goal. Like, what's next? And I remember the next day going out to lunch going, all right, well, you did what you said you wanted to do, and you did it. Now what?
Yeah. Now what do we do? Well,
Yeah,
let's go win another one.
Well, you that's what everybody says, but when you pour everything you got into something, and I give credit to the guys that have won multiple championships, because that's hard to do now. I mean, it's hard to it's hard to reboot, and go back, because everybody that comes back on your team that won it, they think they got all the answers. The coaches, the players, the administrators, everybody's, everybody's smarter than you are, and you try to figure out, or how do I reignite the fire? And the next year we lost in a really close one to Booker T. Washington, which ended up winning the state championship, and we lost right at the end. And that's what reboots you, coming back down to reality. Like, you're not invincible. You're not, you can be beat. We started off that year, we were 0-2. We had lost to Miami Central, and we had lost to Milton, in Milton. And then we won 13 in a row. With it, and again, those first 2 weeks of that 2018 season was very, very rocky, because we were expected to win. We had a show on Netflix the year before that, QB1, and or maybe it was QB1, might have been the 18 year. No, it was the 18 year. So we were, I was getting mic'd up for every practice. They were trying to create drama, and we lose 2 games early on, and everybody's, ready to abandon ship. And for any of the NFL guys out there that really watch football, there's a guy named Chuck Pagano, used to be the head coach of the Colts. And I have a friend that knows him really well, and Chuck called me, just gave me a real good pep talk after we lost to Milton. And, we rattled off 13 in a row after that and won the state championship. So, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to listen to the people that have done it before you, that have got the experience. And, you got to be able to recognize some help when you need it. And we needed it, but we got it going.
So that was the second one. What was the third one like?
No, that was the first one.
Oh, that was the first one.
We won in 18, lost in 19, and then we won in 20 and 21.
Oh, going back to back. That is special.
Yeah. And, then they start talking about dynasty and all this other stuff. And then, down here, that's just about the time the transfer portal opened in high school, like really opened.
Yeah, and Florida became the wild, wild west for real.
Yeah. And, nobody cares about an education anymore. They care about, they think they're going to just get recruited, and you don't have to go to school, and you can go to these fake schools and get these, where you sit down there. I don't even know if they go, but they get their tutors and that's the salty part of what football is supposed to be. It's supposed to be about relationships and teammates and camaraderie and all those things. And unfortunately, that is getting further and further from why we all got in this business, because somebody at some point was a great role model and you wanted to pay it forward. And it's getting tougher and tougher to do that.
And Cardinal Gibbons is a fairly large private Catholic school, correct?
Yeah, we have about 1,200 students. When we won it, I think we won the first one. We were in 5A, then we won in they reclassified, then we won in 4A. Now we're in 2A. Don't ask me how that changed, but last year they compared our district last year to an SEC. So we've been playing a pretty high caliber of football down here for some time.
So that's academics, character, athletics probably isn't. I mean, I'm not saying it's real high, but academics and character are a big part of the school, the mission, the program, everything else. So I imagine it is a little hard to, watch these other teams that, not really, people do what they do. You can't really worry about them, but for a fact your kids are coming and they're going to get more. They're going to get more from your program than just ball.
No doubt. And like I meet with my guys between either at 7 or 7:15 every morning. We're either on the field or we're watching film. It's a real commitment. Then you got to go to class, and you got to we have mass once a month, and um, the expectations are you're doing your work, you're on time, you're respectful. Now we're not perfect, nor and I'd be lying to you if I said we were, but people make mistakes, and the real part of making mistakes is correcting them and not making them again. And um, that to me is a lot more than being homeschooled and sleeping in, and then you know the it just to me it's not there's fewer accountabilities when it comes to that. And I think it's important, and the college guys tell me all the time, the homeschool guys have a hard time adjusting because of the structure or lack thereof. And I'm not saying homeschool isn't for everybody, because I'm sure it does benefit some, but that's not how I grew up doing it. And you know, I don't I don't want that part of it. I want to be able around these kids all day long, and when they do mess up with a teacher, then I can go in there and we can make it right, and they can see the way we communicate and talk and how we fix things. And to me, that's the most important part of what we do.
So, as someone who graduated from that school, went to that school, coached there for 14 years before you became the head coach, and what are some things that you wanted to do when you became the head coach to put your stamp on the program? What are some of the tenets of your program that you put in place that made it Matt Dubuc's Cardinal Gibbons football program as opposed to your predecessors?
The biggest thing for me was, offensively, I was the offensive coordinator, so we were gonna, we were gonna run the air raid. Number one, number two, I had a lot of holdovers that I kept from the old staff that were good guys that were bought in. Um, I stole a lot from Mike Leach: be a team, be the most excited to play, be the best at doing your job. We still have that all over our locker room. We still use it all the time. Um, you know, I started the social media. I started, you know, we do, we go to the convention every year, and we try to, the convention now, it used to be get your kids recruited that were still left. Now with the portal and all that other stuff, it's not as important for recruiting as it once was, but continuing the relationships with the college guys. But, just for me, structure, and try to make it as close to being a college program, so when the kids do leave, they're not, they're not shocked. you know you got to be on time, you got to watch film, you're going to be held accountable. um, those are the things that I think that we've been able to establish a structure that, not saying we didn't have it before, because I was part of the other staff, but for me, I don't play golf, I don't have many things that I do other than football. So, when I'm not doing football, I'm doing football.
I got you. You are a football coach. So what do you guys have spring, or do you have spring in Florida? Do you have spring
Oh
football, or
yeah.
do you just so what
No,
spring look like for you guys? You already had it, or is it coming
no.
up, or
We start on the 28th of April, but our off-season conditioning started when we came back in January, and we throw at least 3 days a week. We also have I put on a 7-on-7, a 4-week 7-on-7 with 10 other high schools, where we have referees, and you can kind of work on. They use it as referee training, but we also, use it to kind of get restarted. And yeah, to me, listen, like I said, I live by the beach. I can't tell you the last time I was at the beach. You know, I could go play golf. I live around 15 golf courses. I play maybe 4 times a year, and it's usually with my kids. They're pretty good golfers, so I just enjoy football, and to me that's what I've been doing since I was 14 years old, and I don't know how much longer I wanted. It's just because the game has just gotten so different. Um, but I'm trying to adjust. And
Well, as we say in South Georgia, what them Chiefs look like this year, Coach? What are them Chiefs gonna look like this? How they look this spring? What are you
well,
guys looking like this year?
I got a quarterback that broke every record in school history last year, and he was a junior, and the Chiefs are going to look pretty good offensively. Whole offensive line is back. I don't know if you can hear that. I got a puppy, and that's my other pastime. Got a Labrador, and all he wants to do is bring me toys and squeak them, and he's my pastime. He's what I like to do.
There's nothing wrong with that. Most of them are better than most people.
Yeah, he's a great dog. His name's Tyson, and we enjoy him. And so anyhow, yeah, we're gonna be good. If we can get it back going on defense, we've struggled on defense the last 2 years, and if we can get it going again on defense, I think we're going to be very competitive next year and make a run. You just when you're dealing with 16, 17, and 18-year-olds and social media and mamas and daddies and all those things that you cannot control, it's like trying to figure out how to try to defunct a bomb. And I spend a lot of nights on the phone and with coaches, with mom, with players, and those type of things. So you just, again, it's you better love it. That's all I'm gonna tell you. And you better be with somebody that understands what you do, because young coaches out there, everybody's, the girlfriends, they like to be around the guy that calls the shots, but the guy that calls the shots is usually turning the lights off when everybody's left. The guy that's calling the shots, is usually the last one out of the stadium, not the first one out of the stadium. And I've been pretty lucky. My wife has understood that, and has not, I've put players and I've put families and before some of their needs at times, and as you get older, you think about that and you go, maybe that wasn't quite the best decision I made there. But you better be all in if you're going to do this deal. You better not be doing it for the wrong reasons, and the wrong reasons are for the reasons that you want your name in the newspaper because you won a football game. That's the last thing you need to be worrying about.
Well, Coach, you've been doing it for the right reasons for a long time, and you've really poured into the kids of your alma mater, of your school, and pouring into the kids of South Florida. And I'm so glad I've gotten to meet you over the last couple of years down at the Coach of the Year clinics and listen to you speak and just kind of watch how you conduct yourself and run your business and how you handle running one of the most successful programs in South Florida. And I appreciate you coming on and sharing your story with us.
Thanks. And to all anybody listening or guys that are getting in or have been in, just be patient and work hard.
Hey, it's Cole Swindell, and when I spend 200 days a year rolling down the highway, the bus can start to feel smaller than a guitar case. Everyone wonders how I stay chill while the hours crawl by. Truth is, one good luck spin on Chumba, and suddenly the trip feels a whole lot shorter. Finding your space, even when there isn't much to spare. Need some chill? Let's Chumba.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus TNC Supply. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
If you work in university maintenance, Granger considers you an MVP. Because your playbook ensures your arena is always ready for tip-off. And Grainger is your trusted partner, offering the products you need all in one place, from HVAC and plumbing supplies to lighting and more. And all delivered with plenty of time left on the clock, so your team always gets the win. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, visit Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.